we haven't prepped anything, right? This interview is between me and one of my students, and he doesn't know what I'm about to ask him. I don't know what he's going to respond. So this is going to be as real as it gets. And yeah, you know, he might tell you everybody I'm a piece of shit, or he might say I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. We're about to find out. We're also going to find out what he thinks about land investing, wholesaling, his journey. So we're in for a treat. So also, if you have questions, let me know. Just write them in the comments or something. I'll make sure I'll be checking them to see if there's anything, but we're about to get started. So I'm about to get him into the room now, doing it on Zoom. Okay. Let's see where he's at. All right. And well, while he's getting started, why don't you guys get ready? So if you do have any questions, go ahead and start asking them right away. And then there'll be times when I'll stop and figure out a chance to actually start to field those questions. But yeah, PJ, go ahead, get on camera as well. So we can see you. There we go. Oh, got the long dreads.
Yes, sir. Growing them out.
A wise man once says Jesus Christ had dreads, so shake them.
Freaking my cousins have a picture of Jesus and he's all booked up, 6-pack and dreadlocks, man. You can't tell that, man.
Sounds historically accurate to me. Well,
did I lose you?
No, you're good. You're good. Oh, now you're frozen. Now you're frozen.
Oh no.
Okay. All right, Eric McDuffie. How do I start? I need you to be a little bit more specific than that. Ask it like how do I start? You know, we're going to get into a bunch of stuff, but I need more specifics. Okay. All right. So everybody, this is, I guess we call him PJ, but this is Paul Edward Winters Jr. So that's where the P and the J comes in. We've been working together since when did we start working together? June, July, August?
July, the middle, towards the end of July.
Okay, so that was right before I went to Puerto Rico and left him high and dry.
Yep, naturally.
Yeah, he joined the coaching group at that time. So in this interview, this is our exit interview, so to speak, because he's successfully completed 2 deals, or I guess 1.5, and he's going to tell us all about that. And so I'm going to get his experience with this. We have not prepped, as I said before. He doesn't know what I'm about to ask. I don't know what he's about to say. So this is all genuine. This is all raw. This is all real. This is the first time I've done this in front of other people. I normally record this and then let other people see it later. But in general, I got enough funds to start some small deals. Okay. All right, Eric, we're going to actually get into that pretty soon. So I got some questions for you. First off, congratulations. You actually have something in the mail on its way. I should have gotten, if I had to get your address, I should have gotten this done earlier, but I gotten busy and I just kind of forgot, to be honest. But sometime this week, you'll get a gift from me for, saying congratulations for completing your first couple of deals. But with that said, before we jump into those deals, let's start from the very beginning. How did you find land investing? How did you find me, the group? And yeah, we'll just start from there.
Thanks, Vic. I appreciate you and everything. So the way I got started in land investing, my family, my extended family knew about this for decades, but we have hundreds of acres of land in our name down in Alabama. And out of those acres in our family, my dad owns a little over 20 acres of that land down there. And so it's just been land that had been sitting there. And in recent years, my siblings and I found out about it. And so I'm like, yo, this is opportunity. Not everyone has land. And so I talked to them. I was like, yo, let's figure out what to do. And my brother and dad were all on board and trying to egg up my ideas and whatnot. But my sister, she was realistic and was like, PJ, honestly, I wouldn't get involved unless you were an example and showed us that something could happen out of this. And I was like, fair enough. And so I was in the middle of I'm still self-developing myself. And so educating myself on FIRE, Financial Independence, Retire Early. And I came across this podcast that talked about land investing. And I was like, oh, I have land. let's hear about this. And so I just drove into like 2 months of research, and I I just learned about the ins and out of land investing, and then something told me, I truly, this didn't come from me. I believe it was God, um, told me to look up forums. Why haven't I looked into forums and stuff? And so I looked at 3 different ones on Facebook. One for two for Texas, I believe, and then one land investing for millennials, and it happened to be yours. And I just saw the group, and I just was like, dude, this dude is so generous with this information. He's just providing a wealth of knowledge that not everyone is so freely giving. And so I stalked your page a little bit, and stalked the group, and I saw like an interview with one of the other members, Mark, and
Just like
got
this
to
one.
literally got to read his story. I saw his check post, and then and that prompted me to go watch his interview, and I watched the whole thing, and I was like, literally everything that he's talking about is literally what I'm going through, and getting started with all this shit. And I absolutely love it, and I'm so blessed to have found you in the group.
Oh, I appreciate the kind words. So, Eric, as you see, we're starting to get into a little bit of how to get started. So for PJ and for many others, it starts off with looking, hey, do I want to take this serious or not? Let me actually learn what this is about. Let me see what I can do now. That part's easy. The information is out there to at least know the ins and outs of like, hey, this is how land investing works. This is what you can expect. But the details of actually getting deals done, finding the areas, that's a little bit different. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But if you haven't done that research to know, hey, I'm going to take this seriously and I'm not going to do anything else, then you're still on that research phase. And eventually you got to say, I don't need to research anymore. I just need to get going. Now,
Exactly.
so I remember after finding me, you want to work, and within the coaching group a little bit. Tell us more about like your decision to like, hey, I want to take this seriously. I don't want to just be on the outskirts. I don't want to keep telling myself I'm quote unquote researching. I want to take action. Talk a little bit about that, your mindset, and the process you're going through that, and actually getting the courage to get started.
So one of my greatest strengths I'm more realizing now is just my ability to visualize very successfully, and implement steps in order to make my vision come to fruition, whether it's exactly as I had planned or a tidbit of that. Everything is fluid, it's flexible. And so with that, I set my goal, as I decided I'm going to put steps into land investing and make this concrete rather than just an idea. And I'm going to give myself a year from August to August. And so I'm still within that time frame to get shit going with my business. And I need to see results. And if I don't think this is a viable option by next August, then
Okay, you said viable results until next August, then
if by not next August, then I can give myself the grace of starting something new. And so
let me stop you right there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think you said something very profound. The fact that most people will say, well, I'm going to look into this for a year or 6 months or whatever it is, and then maybe I'll get started. And then while they're looking into it, they're looking to 50 other things and wondering why they're so goddamn confused. But you did on the other hand, I'm actually going to do it. And I'm going to go through the ups and the downs. And after a year of actually doing it, then I'm going to see if I'm going to continue. I like that approach because you get actual experience. So it's hard to say if you're going to be good at something without actually trying it. You might have an idea, but you don't really know. So I just wanted to stop that because I didn't want that to let go over people's heads, because that was actually really big and very important. So I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. And then what got me into doing it is that homework assignment you gave me. I wrote it down. One of the 3 questions was, if you're really ready to land invest, are you ready to pay money for this now? And I said yes when I was doing the homework questions. And then when it came time to put my money where my mouth is, I stopped and I was like, shoot, this is actually going to happen. And I was like, no, this is the adrenaline. I can't let myself trick myself out of it. I sober-mindedly said, I'm ready to invest in this. So I have the funds right now. I have a little bit. Let's do this and I'll figure it out. And so that's what got me to do it.
That's amazing. A lot of people, they feel that and they freak out and then they kind of run from it. And then a year from now, I'm like, hey, how you doing? Oh yeah, nothing.
I'm not everyone. I'm not everyone.
You're not
Vic,
everyone.
so.
You're not everyone. No, you and other people in the group, you guys actually mean business and you actually get stuff done. That's why I love working with you guys. Now the question is this: the training was more expensive than you thought, and you didn't have everything. So what did you do?
Shoot, I had to freaking DoorDash my ass off. And so I just had to work and I shoot, when my back's against the wall, I think that's whenever I perform my best. And so I was like, all right, this is how much I have to make a month to pay for this. This is what I'm gonna have to do. And so did that. Asked for money and help and got some help here and there from people that that support me in my village. And I take my debts seriously. I keep track of people that I owe because whenever the time comes, I will have the funds to repay them, and I want to give back, and because people poured into me. And so, but I have to do what I got to do, and so I did that.
Yeah, your level of commitment and was on display, because some people, I've worked with people in the past where they had the money and they pay and then they kind of disappear. And I pay, you know, others people like it's tough and they got to figure out payment plans and things like that. But because of that, they're hungry and they hit the ground running. So now we can jump right into your first few deals. Like, I don't think it took very long for us to start working for you to find your first two deals, correct?
No, I got my first one in August, and so I think I got my acquisition done within a month. I remember that was our goal, I think, by my birthday, which is August 25th. And I think I had just gotten it, and I think it was recorded August 26th. If I don't know, it was in that time frame,
Right,
within a month.
All right, tell us more about that. Like, you know, contacted the people, the agreed, you know, the negotiation process, how much you actually paid for the property,
So
all that.
yeah, so what I was willing to invest at that time, I said between $300 to $1,000. Again, I just moved to Texas. July to August, I was moving to Texas, and I was using my savings that I had planned to use to be comfortable down there, and so I said $1,000 at most for a piece of property, and I invested that. Found these people. They seemed to be interested. They said they had my postcard. Um, um, and then I did some more research into it. The county told me they had $1,500 in back taxes. And I was like, shit, I don't have $1,500 to invest, blah, blah, blah. I went back to the group and I told you guys, and you're like, wait. That's back taxes. So even if you get $2,000, you don't have to pay those off immediately. But if you don't have to pay those up front, so you can still pay for the land and get a good deal for it, and then worry about the back taxes later. And so, with that great knowledge, without that knowledge, I wouldn't have gotten this first property. And then we first agreed upon $50 for this property, and I was like, "Hey, I recognize that you got $1,500 in back taxes. So how about this? I'll take these back taxes off of your hand. You don't have to worry about it, and I'll send you some money for your troubles." And they agreed to that, and it was $50. They had to also fill out a few affidavit of heirships, and so with those, the person who owned the property in their name was still alive, but their ex-wife had passed away. She and they're a community state, and so the wife gets ownership of that property as well, since they're married. And so since she passed away, I had to get affidavit of heirships, have them sign it. That was stressing them out. And so I was like, hey, how about this? I'll give you $75 and then we'll call it a day. And they're like, okay. And so I'm like, cool. And so we got them all signed, all those papers. They had their kins, their close friends slash. They're really just family, and usually you're not supposed to do that. They prefer friends, but they said they'd accept. And so got it all registered in my name. $75 property in my name. I just have to pay out the back taxes, which I don't think will be a problem. This is a good piece of land. The only shitty thing is it's landlocked, which is a pain to deal with, but like the property is still up and valued. At the time, it was valued at 6,000, and it actually went up. And since I've had the property in my name to 20,000, and I'm trying to sell it for much lower than that now.
So let's stop everybody. All right, because Eric was asking earlier, how do you get started? First off, how did you find that county? Now, obviously, this is stuff I'm showing you, but let the people out there know your experience doing the things that I showed you.
So I wanted to pick a state. You can pick any state. Just be aware of like the laws. It's different. It can be its pain with transferring title depending on what state you're in. Texas doesn't have too many of those annoying ass laws, and so I picked Texas, and I was moving here, and I live here, and so from the blog post I read, you want to pick something that's pretty rural so that the land isn't too expensive, and so I took your kind of strategy of like circling and seeing, having your target area, your price range on Zillow and kind of circling different areas. And I started around those rural areas. I found a spot. I saw a city. I was like, what county is this city in? And it told me, and I was like, all right, that's my county.
How long did it take you to do that portion?
I don't know, like 30 minutes.
Oh, pretty quick. All right. So 30 minutes, you found your county, you start reaching out. These people came back to you. And at first you weren't going to take the deal, as you said, because of the taxes. And then you realized, hey, that's actually a good bargaining chip. It was landlocked, which we normally don't like to do because it does take longer to sell. But, I felt it would have been a good risk because you're only paying $75. It's kind of hard to lose when you're paying so little. Like I spent more on food than bought some premium property that is now worth a lot more money. With that said, have you had any people interested in buying that landlocked property?
Yeah. So the term I've learned through this is tire kickers. And so you get a lot of tire kickers, people that sound like they're interested and play it up, but they don't want to pull the trigger on buying it, which is fine. But like it's just all depends on what people think that they can do. People have their own reasons for wanting to buy property. People might see this and be like, yo, I can just sit on this and just wait for it to gain value and then figure it out. And so, yeah, I've had people interested in the property, and I have someone I have a couple of people that are going to go look at it. Even with the problems about it, I'm very transparent. I'm like, look, this is what you're gonna buy, and this is what you get. Take it or leave it. And people still make the drive. Someone's gonna make a 3-hour drive to go see it, despite it having a little ravine that they're going to have to develop, and also it being landlocked. But it has a easement by necessity, which is something you guys can look up if you want.
Now, something else you also mentioned, you mentioned some, I guess, higher level terms like the affidavit of heirship and this easement by necessity. Before you got into this, you didn't know any of these terms or any of these things or how they work, correct? So
Bro.
Go ahead.
Whenever you guys I'm very religious and meeting these meetings. Whenever I went through college, I probably missed 5 classes at most. I think 5 classes, and so I maybe missed 1 or 2 meetings at most with you guys. And at the beginning, I had no idea. You guys are talking about APN and this, that, and the other, and I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? This is so stressful. And I'm like, PJ, calm down. You're new. You are going to understand what all this means eventually. And just through these headache properties, like I learned so much, and I have so much confidence going forward because like I dealt with all this shit up front.
Now you had a second property that you got for very cheap as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I wanted to explore another market. Again, rural is the target within Texas, and so this was closer to Dallas. I was thinking more closer to metropolitan. It's only an hour away from Dallas, and so I found this county. It was pretty much the same process. I found that they owe $1,300 in back taxes, and I was like, "Yo, you guys are interested in selling, but like, this is out of my price range now. Now that I did my research and due diligence, like, I'm willing to take the back taxes off of your hand, and you don't have to worry about them, and I'll throw you a few dollars for your trouble." And we decided on $85, and so that's pretty much the same thing.
Oh, okay. 85 bucks. So we get how that works. This one's a little bit different. Now, you went a little bit off script. You got something that was really tiny. But what happened with that property?
So it took a while, like with heady properties, like obviously you want this shit to sell as quickly as possible. That wasn't the case with mine. And so I was patient. And so literally right after the new year, right before the new year, and right after the new year, December 31st, I had someone, she was very motivated. Like she got kicked out of her trailer park and she just needed a place. And she was like, might as well invest in land. And my property was cheap enough for her. And then January 1st, New Year's Day, I got another call from someone very young. He's 17, but he has the rights to an adult. He has his own attorney and whatnot. And so he didn't have the money at the time to buy the property outright cash. And I was like, I'll do it on terms. And I just kind of explained this whole process. I was, again, transparent. I'm glad to see that he's working towards something, a project that he can work towards and invest in. And he was all for it. He wants his own property by the time he turns 18. And so we decided to do it on terms. And so now I have a little bit of passive income coming in to help me with my own bills and whatnot. And I sold him that I didn't sell it to him. I didn't transfer the title. Again, transparent and telling him, you get the piece of property after we pay off this amount. So we signed the contract, agreed, and we're still in contact. And I'm also he's gonna be my boots on the ground in the area. So
So how much did he pay you so far for that property?
So far, he paid me the down payment of $500.
Okay, got it. And then so every week, month, how's the payment schedule?
So every month is what he could do, and so I'm just gonna get $500 a month.
Okay,
and that's going to end in July, and that's conveniently whenever my rent ends for this lease.
What's the total amount that he's going to
$3,500.
Huh?
$3,500.
Got it. So let's add this up. You had a property, you bought it for 85 bucks. And then there's what, 1,300 in back taxes?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 1,385, right? 3,500 minus 1,385. So you're going to make $2,115 off of this deal. Basically out of nothing.
Yeah.
If that's not an investment, so you basically turn 85 bucks into $2,000. Did you have to do any manual labor?
No.
Did you have to
clickety clack?
Just a couple keystrokes and a couple phone calls, and you made $2,000.
Yeah.
Not bad. It's not bad. Now, we got a question from Oksana. She asked you, how did you find the buyers? How you listed your land for sale?
Okay, so buyers, they honestly would come to me via, I marketed on Facebook and Zillow. Craigslist, I kept trying. It must be something with my computer. They just, whatever email I use, it eventually gets taken down. I don't know why. And so Craigslist just hasn't worked for me. This stuff happens to me. But yeah, through Facebook and Zillow, and then also through some people that I met and some partners I've created in the networking down in Texas. I got access to PropStream, and I just looked up cash buyers list in the area and just got to calling people and calling people that have had properties of vacant land, 15 properties plus in the area, or just in general.
Got it. Got it. And so you found your buyer. How did you find this person that was interested?
The one that got in on terms.
Yeah, yeah.
He hit me up through Zillow, or excuse me, through Facebook Marketplace. We're chatting, and then we took it over to texting.
Got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, that sounds good. Now you also had a wholesaling experience in this time, right? Now, before we jump into that, let me ask you this. You buy 2 properties, they were extremely cheap, but they weren't selling as quickly as you would have liked. What were you feeling? What were you thinking? What was going on through your mind as this was happening?
I was kind of upset it wasn't turning. The profit wasn't going, I didn't get that profit as quickly as I had hoped. But again, the group is so great for like easing your nerves and just being, it's hard to look at the labels of the jar you're in if you're inside the glass jar. So you sometimes need that outside opinion to ease your nerves and just bring the realism of the situation to you. And so at the end of the day, I spent $75 on this property, $85. My sister got scammed on freaking Craigslist out of $2,000. And so if I'm losing almost $200, then so be it. But like, it's a smart investment, and I got time. I'm on my stuff. I'm doing what I need to do in order to make the profit. So,
and let's think about it logically. Your sister got scammed, but you actually do have something out of it. Like, you have property. Yeah. So worst comes to worst, you can use it, you can live on it, you can do whatever you want. It's yours, but the goal was to sell it. But I'm glad you mentioned the group, because I understand, especially when you're first starting out, it could be tough when you're like, hey, am I doing this right? Is this how the process should go? What's happening here? And then next thing you know, things aren't happening and you're like, shit, what do I do? What do I do? Having some outside perspective, as you said, especially people who've already been there, done that, or who's going through it with you, to kind of keep you calm and everything, it can go a long way. Talk a little bit more about your experience with the group, how it's helped you. And, after that, then see if you can imagine going through this like a lone wolf, like so many people try to do.
Cool. So with the group, again, what you were just saying, I've had so many instances where I've just been discouraged on myself because like I see others in the group getting deals and making moves and progressing. And I'm like, wow, I'm just not at that speed yet. And I'm like, shoot, what am I doing wrong? How can I do this? This is really screwy. And I was transparent about it in the group every time. And everyone just was like, yeah, this is part of the process. Like it's not like a magic button you can press for you to get exactly what you want. The market is the market. You can't change that. But you can just learn from these experiences. All you can really do is sit and learn and adjust. You got to be flexible with your strategies and how you run your business. And so, yeah, you guys just brought me a lot of comfort and just the realism, because you see that it works. You literally see that it works. We got people making freaking deals. Yeah. And so like you know that it works. It's just a matter of time till you get yours. If you stay persistent with it, and you got to stay consistent. You can't pay for an investing course and then you pay for the investing course, so you're gonna get the deal, and you do nothing. You sit on your ass and you get a deal from doing nothing. No, you gotta work. You do gotta work maybe a little bit more than you anticipated at first, because starting your own business isn't easy. It's not made for everyone.
It's not. No, that's powerful. I don't want that to go over people's heads. You dropped a lot of gems in this. I always love doing these. I also get to hear about your experience with everything. So I just to make sure I can adjust and change and make things better going forward. But with that
Cool.
said, let's do you think you could have done this solo?
Yes, I do. I think I could have, especially just knowing who I am and just the breadth of time I gave myself. I think that I could have done this solo, but it just makes so much more sense to have a mentor and other people in your era, in your around you that are doing this and have experience to guide you through this. And so you're I also like the quote, you're the average of the 5 people you spend your most time with. And if you're spending your time with investors and getting in their mindset and how they do this stuff and learning from their failures and their successes, it's only going to aid you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You get it. No, you get it. That's awesome. Now let me ask you this. As I said, we talked a bit about your wholesaling experience. Talk about that. Let the people know what that was like. Why did you get into the wholesale deal? And what your thoughts are doing it going forward.
So the wholesaling experience, not bad if you do it the right way. If you do it the right way. And so if for those that don't understand what wholesaling is, you're kind of like a third party. You play the middleman between your seller, who you're going to acquire the property from, and then the buyer who wants the property from you. They don't necessarily know who the seller is, and you just kind of bridge that gap. So the seller is going to sell the property to me, and I would get it recorded in my name, and I pass that on and record it into the buyer's name. And so that's what I was doing. I had good feelings about it because I found a seller who wanted this land sold. And then I found a buyer while we're going to initiate that process. But it was just ultimately a headache because I went about it the wrong way. And I got the seller's information, and all. We signed a contract. I signed a contract with the buyer. They all were aware of what my role was through this. And so I also got a reduced amount of money from this transaction. Whereas if I got it for the low from the seller, then I could have been making a lot more from the buyer.
So how much was the deal for, like that actually went through, versus how much was what it could have been if you just did it the plain old land investing way?
I paid the seller. He wanted a lot more initially from it, but now in retrospect, he just didn't know how to value his own land. And so,
which is not, I'm stopping. That's very common. People don't know because there's not a house on it, it's not a building on it, and they don't actually want to put in the work to actually see. So they either overestimate it or they underestimate it. It's our jobs to come in with the good offer that's just going to get the property in our hands. But anyway, so go
on. He got the property. We eventually agreed on 3,000. The buyer agreed to pay me 4,500. We got to pay off the back taxes and all with that money and all. And so ultimately, I got a little bit over $1,000 on that wholesale deal, and went through it the same way I would with any other transaction. I wanted to self-close on the deal, and so again, I had to get in my name before I pass it on to her. And so I paid the seller his money through Zelle with the buyer's money. And so again, she's aware about all this. And before we did this, I got his I had his number skip trace already. I had him send his license clearly to me, and I also sent the documents electronically and had him get it notarized and sent pictures of it before she sent me any kind of money, wired me the money. And so, because the seller wanted the money ASAP, he was like freaking out about it with me. And I was like, okay, I'm doing the best I can. And so he eventually got the money. 2 weeks later, he said that he sent out the document, but 2 weeks later, I still don't have I still don't have the deed and I need to record this. The buyer's asking. And she was very, very sweet and patient and so understanding throughout this process because like where's the deed? Like I would understand if she was pissed at me because like I convinced her to do it this way when she originally wanted to pay herself through title, but like the seller was pushing and wanted the money now. And at the time, I also needed the money now, but I couldn't. I mean, but the buyer was willing to go through title and all, and that would have just been so much more secure, especially if she's gonna pay for it anyway. And so just had to learn from that because like we're freaking out. The seller ended up getting COVID, but he wasn't communicating with me kind of understandably, but like we're in the middle of the transaction. I'm telling you that we don't have it and the buyer's kind of getting worried. You need to at least communicate so that I don't think it's a scam. And that's ultimately kind of what I thought it was a scam. And so I kind of had him investigated and the investigation amounted to nothing according to my bank. But then he told me that all his accounts got frozen, and that was a big thing. And then and so we all got on the phone too in three-way, and so we're all cool with everything that was happening. That's all the other thing. But I got a text today from the buyer saying I got in contact with the seller. It looks like everything's going to turn out well. Thank you for everything. I understand you're doing your best. She was so sweet, and she didn't have to be at all. And so, in retrospect, I would not do it this way. I would do cashier's checks so that I would be protected for my money. I would be protected. And if he's offering to pay for title, I would have just done title, and I have more of an inclination to go through title and just have the buyer pay for it in the future, and despite it being more expensive or whatever, it's just more secure. But I have the tools now and the confidence and experience to do what I gotta do.
Yeah. Now your road to this point has been very, I guess, rocky, so to speak. And you're still here. So I commend you for your perseverance and your commitment to yourself that you've made and you're keeping. And it wasn't easy. Now, there were times that you wanted to do things the PJ way and not the way I necessarily recommend. Talk a little bit about that. Like, was it just a misunderstanding of what I was trying to convey? Was it like, well, your way sounds okay, but I want to do it this way because of my circumstances? Or maybe it's something else. Why don't you let me know so I can help you and others in the future to make sure I keep people on the straight and narrow?
Can you provide a specific example, or are you specifically talking about the wholesale deal or something else?
Any of them. Like, for example, one big thing that's important is understanding like different, when you're doing your due diligence, knowing the restrictions of the land, the sizes, and what you're actually getting. And even if you're paying cheap, just understand like, yeah, all right, but this is what I'm gonna have to do. Talk a little bit about that, a little bit about the obviously the wholesale deal as well. And anything else that you feel like, shit, I wish I'd have done this a little bit, differently. Like I was warned, or maybe wasn't warned, but you fill in the blanks.
Yep, that's good. And so with the wholesale deal, or even no, let's go to the restrictions. Everything was kind of circumstantial. I'm kind of broke. I need money, and so I'm like trying to cut corners. These seems like small ass corners, but like it ends up being like so much bigger down the road. I'm like, bruh, I could have avoided so much headache if I just found this out in the beginning. If I just called which seems so easy now because I'm doing this in my everyday life now, calling the freaking county like, yo, what are the restrictions? Send me the restrictions. Okay, cool. And then putting that in my ad, that's easy. I was like, I don't want to be on the phone with these people. I got property, I got it cheap, whatever. I'm gonna sell this bitch. And look at him talking. I look like Booba the Fool. Like months later, not selling the property because I didn't do my homework. And so, yeah, and it was circumstantial because, like, again, the position I'm in is I just moved down to Texas on my own, away from everyone that I know. I'm broke, and I need money, and I'm ready to get this business up and running. Another instance is, like, again, this property, it, I valued it. My first property, a half-acre property, was valued pretty high.
Oh, you muted yourself. There you go.
It was valued pretty high, and I I listed it way too high, and so I had a few people that were interested in it and in buying the property, and then they ghosted me, and it just took me a while to lower the price because I wanted to make that ROI a good.
Yeah, I remember. I was like, dude, just lower the price. You're like, I don't know, man. I'm
Literally,
like, just lower the price. Like,
you didn't just yell at me, bro. Why didn't you yell at me?
because the way I told you in the group, and I told this to everybody listening,
Yeah,
we're grown adults. I know what
yeah,
works because I've been doing it for 5 years.
yeah,
However, sometimes me telling you is not going to be enough.
yeah.
You got to experience it on your own to understand. Like, if you just do it the way I say and just follow the process, it's going to work out. You try things your way. I don't know what the results you're going to get. I can't verify that. I haven't tried it that way. Or if I have tried that way, I'm like, it didn't work for me. I don't see why it'll work for you, but you're free to try. And sometimes that's the best way to learn. You're going to make these
Y'all,
mistakes.
just listen to Coach Vic. Just listen to him.
Just listen. You do it my way, it's going to work. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Now that you experience that, you're going to trust myself, like my teachings, myself, and yourself more because you've been there. You understand the difference. And next time you want to cut corners and you think it's not a big deal, are you going to cut them corners?
No, sir.
No, right? When I say you should try this way, are you at least going to take my advice under consideration?
Yes, yeah.
That's all I can do. Like my job, I can't force you to do anything. My job is to help you be the best PJ that you can be, not just in land investing, but as a person. That's why we do so much of the mindset stuff and the life planning and all that other stuff.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, you are the captain of your own ship. You are the CEO of your business. I can't tell you what to do. I can make suggestions. I can give examples. I can say, this is what I'm doing. It's working. You should do it too. But at the end of the day, you and everybody else, you guys are in charge. So the fact that you stayed with it, though, and you're able to be like, damn, that didn't work out the way I thought, and you're still here, that speaks more about your character because you're able to say, hey, you know what? I made a mistake and it's still going to be okay. And I got a guy calling me, another deal I'm working on. So we'll have to wrap this up pretty soon. But the point is, the fact that you kept going and things weren't easy and you had to get through these weird situations, some were self-inflicted, but still you got through it and you made money at the end of the day. I'm proud of you. I'm very proud of you. And I think you're about to hit your stride. I really think you're about to hit your stride. So it wasn't for naught. It was just a different path, but you still got to the end game. And now the next set of goals that we all have laid out and that we're working through together, I have no doubt that you're going to hit it. No doubt whatsoever. So that's that. Now, one last thing before we go. How did you get the strength to kind of, since your road was rocky and is a little unorthodox, how did you get the strength to kind of continue on and get here?
I honestly it just goes back to my beliefs and honestly why I believe I'm doing what I'm doing. I believe God's given me a mission and a purpose, and in order to proceed with that and also fulfilling my full potential for myself, there are these different seasons of life, these different hardships that I have to go through. It's kind of, I talked to someone the other day, it's kind of like you're leveling up. You're facing a boss each different season of your life in order to get to the next level and gain the rewards, evolving. You're kind of evolving yourself. And so I just see myself as I work on my business and work on myself simultaneously. I'm just like, wow, if this is hard to me right now, I can only imagine what's going to appear is going to be harder for myself down the road. And so this is this is something I need to get through and need to push through in order to get through those harder seasons that have even better rewards for myself down the road. And so I want to eventually help so many people. I have so many dreams that I want to pursue, so many different hobbies I want to pursue. But I want to give back. And in order to help other people, I first need to help myself. And so I'm going to do that. And in this season of my life, I'm going to be an example. I'm learning these things so that I can pour into others. My philosophy for life is it's a responsibility of those with knowledge to pour into others what others have poured into them so that they may be more successful. And so this is a time in my life where I'm being poured into.
No, I love it. I love it. And it seems like you're taking the what I've learned at the lighthouse approach. The same way I can only show you what I've done and what works. And I can show you what happens if you don't do it, like a lighthouse shows a boat. Here are the harbor, here is the where you can dock. Those are the dangerous rocks. You know, I can't force you to go to the docks. I can't force you away from the rocks. I can just show you where each are and what the consequences are. It seems that you're taking up that mantle. You're learning, you're understanding, you're experiencing things. So now you too can be a lighthouse and show the way to other people. And no, I commend you for that. And I think that's awesome. But I think that's it. I'm out of questions now, unless you have any questions. I'm looking at the chat. I think all the other questions were answered. They're, how to get started, how you other stuff like that. And you've answered those. Thank you very much. If anything you want to say, any feedback, anything, this is your time before we wrap this up.
Yeah, guys. I first of all, I want to just again say thank you, Coach Vic. Like you just being so generous and just so patient and just so you're just so giving. I can't express that enough. And for anyone that's listening who's questioning whether they want to pursue anything, whether it's land investing or any dream of theirs, you need to just do it. Take the risk. It's better knowing that you tried and failed than not knowing whether you could have succeeded or and just not doing anything. You want to act. And so hit me up if you have any questions about this, his group, or just life in general. I love having conversations. Just hit me up. And so.
No, I love it. No, that was very big of you to offer your expertise and your time to anybody who's looking to ask questions. And I'm sure the people watching this, there's going to be some people asking questions and they just want to know your experience and, hey, how did you do this and what works for that? So that's wonderful. I appreciate that. But that's it. So as I said, you got something in the mail coming. I can't wait till you get it. It's going to be a nice little surprise for you. My way of saying congratulations from getting through the curriculum. And for being persistent, staying with the group, everything else, there's, we got a lot more work ahead of us, a lot more money coming through. So, this is not the end. This is just a nice little milestone. And yeah, anybody else looking to want to work in this group, want to work with PJ, with myself, hit me up. We can have a conversation. I can let you know what that would look like. We can lay out a roadmap for you as well, be custom for you because everybody's different. Other than that, PJ, I'll make sure your name is linked in this so people can actually click on your name. They can add you as a friend or whatever, send a message or whatever that is. And then, you guys can talk. But yeah, that's it for me. I think that's it for you, but everybody listening, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for tuning in. And that will be that. So, bye everybody. Peace out.